What is up, Flick fans? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking the brand new Gerard Butler and Mike Colter movie that is Plane. My question for you in the comments down below, is the sequel going to be called Train or Car? It can't be Cars. A pilot finds himself caught in a war zone after he's forced to land his commercial aircraft during a terrible storm. This movie is rated R for violence and language. This is the type of January film that you see a trailer for and you say to yourself, oh, well, I guess if I have nothing better to do this weekend. But we've seen these movies before, and we've seen Gerard Butler star in action films before that have either been fun, good, or absolutely terrible. Now, that's no detriment to him as an actor. I think he thrives in a role like this. And the cool thing about this movie is that the character he is playing, his main skill set is not necessarily fighting a battle or using weapons to take on the people that are trying to take his passengers in this movie. That is left up to Mike Colter's character. Gerard Butler is the pilot, and he's a darn good pilot. And the way that the first sequence of events plays out in that first act is so engaging and thrilling, and I didn't think it would be. I saw the trailer for this movie, and I said, okay, but this first sequence where the plane is actually going from the air to the ground, man, and that's in the trailer, it's not a spoiler, that is so much fun to watch because you don't know what's going to happen to who, and the idea of this character that Mike Colter is playing, just sitting silently on the back of the plane in handcuffs. Why is he here? Do we get answers to those questions? There are a lot of elements to the beginning of this movie that get it off to a good start, and that was a nice surprise. Obviously, they're going to give Butler's character of Brodie a little backstory, a reason to care, a reason why he should focus on the survival of himself and his crew and his passengers. But that backstory we cut to a couple of times in the film. It's kind of hard to describe how I feel about it, right? I feel as if there is something there that is necessary to push our character when he's in the worst of situations. A situation, obviously, none of these people have ever been in. He has to have that reason, right? And I like that he had that reason. He has a family back home. But every time we cut to that family or the people that he's in contact with, I'm like, there's just not enough time being spent for me to care as much as they want me to care, but it's also a necessary story point. So I had issues with those very cliche elements in this movie, and just the look of Plane. You know, it kind of looks like a January movie. The color palette's a little bit on the bland side, and I understand why they went the way that they went. You also have some CGI when the plane's in the air, the storm's happening, the lightning's striking, and I'm just not really into it visually. I'm like, this couldn't look any more bland. But I'm still entertained, and I'm still kind of enjoying and digging what's happening to our passengers, and you're focused on the survival of those involved. Even the people on the plane that are kind of like speaking up when they shouldn't be speaking up and saying really rude things, you still want them to survive. No one is annoying enough for you to say, hey, well, if they die, they die. I think Daniela Pineda does a nice job as well. Some of the crew members and the people trying to keep the passengers in check and everybody stay calm, right? It's not a situation you're going to be staying completely calm in, and you see that with some people, but there's always that calming presence of Gerard Butler, even though he's not as big of an action star in this movie. And there's really only a handful of hand-to-hand combat sequences in this film. It's more so weapon on weapon and dealing with this group of people on the ground that are chaotic in nature, and it doesn't matter what you do or say, they're going to make you do what they want you to do. Now, it's a very cliche villainous presence. I talk about those conventions of a movie like this, and we learn just enough about them to kind of be afraid of them and know that they are unhinged. They're going to do whatever it takes. But at the same time, I still don't entirely know everything I needed to know about them to care just a little bit more. And when the villain's giving his big speech, I'm like, I've heard this 1,000 times in 1,000 different movies, but it's still fun to see Gerard Butler there. Now, you look at Mike Colter's character, and he kind of takes the role of what you expect Butler to take in a movie like this. He's the one that knows what he's doing, kind of leads them through this craziness. And even though I wish we would have spent more time on him, I wanted to know more information. I just wanted to see more of him in general. I did like that relationship between he and Brodie. Even though the dialogue could have been better, I thought the chemistry worked extremely well. And then we're flashing back and forth to the people back home, those trying to figure out where this plane actually went. You have some government officials and people in charge, and that actually makes for some fun dialogue and moments that didn't entirely slow down like I thought they would. Tony Goldwyn does a nice job there. You have another military group at play that I wish we could have gotten more of. So I enjoyed this movie way more than I thought I would. Butler is great. Colter is great. I needed more of him. And overall, you talk about surprises. We're in January, folks. Some are going to scoff at me and say, Austin, this movie is generic. And you know what? It is. It's plain. AI, but plain. You know. You get it. I don't know, man. It did its job, and I'm going to be honest with you guys. So before I give you my score, today's phrase is not a phrase, it's a question. What is the best Gerard Butler action movie? And if you enjoyed this video and you want to drop a like, that would be awesome. Plain simultaneously feels as conventional as expected while delivering some solid intensity and edge-of-your-seat thrills. Butler commands your attention in this surprisingly fun action flick, and because it did its job so well, I'm actually going a 70% with my score, man. I don't know. I'm feeling generous in January. Generous January. Thank you guys so much for being here. What movie am I reviewing next? I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'll see you soon.